Bro, this is going to be too overpowered. Wow, this Alchemist is going to be strong, you know? I said in the last video that I had created some new classes, and today you are going to see them, okay? You will see them in action, how each one will work. And I'm really happy, because these classes turned out really cool. They have new mechanics, some things that worked really well. And even the visuals I really liked, okay? So, and speaking now, okay, about the new classes that I made, new classes in plural. I made 2 new classes, okay? Yeah, when I have a little time, I can do a few more things, right? And with these new classes, many new skills came, right, along with these classes, which can be essentially noticed even from the class's own visuals, what each one is more or less. Yeah, one of the classes is initially being like the evolution of the mage, right, because evolutions are not necessarily the strongest version of the class itself, as seen before. The evolution of the priest, which was the chronomancer or the void lancer, will be the class, essentially, that deals with the matter of space and time. It's just that they don't have much to do with each other, you know? But the only idea there was the support class branch, right? Not necessarily one class is the evolution of the other. The priest class is still a much stronger support in that sense. But the Voidmancer is a support with much more utility. You can there change things around. You can speed up your allies as well as slow down enemies. It is much more about utility and less about being a support. More powerful, and the same thing happens here. Okay, we have the mage class, which is essential for magical attacks, right? For area magical damage, but there is also the evolution, which is the Alchemist, okay? Unlike Final Fantasy Tactics, where the Alchemist is more or less the basic class, just using items, here it is a much more consistent class. It is not just there to use items, it actually has its own abilities with its own mechanics. I created a new mechanic just for this class, which is the mechanic of creating regions within the battle map. So let's show here more or less. I have here the visual of the class, okay? It was a visual up until quite standard, but there's this big backpack that breaks Now there are some little potions on the character's waist to show that he is an alchemist who mainly works with potions, but his idea is of a character who can kind of bottle ether in a way that allows you to use magic instantly, okay? You don't need to keep casting spells like a MAA. And these spells, because they are bottled, remain in the area you use, causing some effect, okay? So let's show here first, as expected, right? He's a walking that deals with potions. So essentially he will use the potion, which would be the healing potion usually in these games, but in a much better, much more advanced way, okay? Because he will not simply use the item on someone, you create a potion area, a potion region, you will spend a portion there to be able to use it, and the area will affect everyone in it with potion. So while that area is there, it will keep healing people, it will heal enemies, it will heal allies. Just like all abilities that work in an area, right? They can affect both allies and enemies. And all these areas work as follows, okay? When it's your character's turn, or the turn of some character, if they are on top of one of these regions, it will be activated, and when you end the turn, it will also be activated if you are on top of one of them. So if you start the turn on them and end on them, your turn will essentially activate it twice, okay? But if you leaving it or arriving on it will activate it only once, just like the 2 effects that I'll add later, okay? A potion heals a fixed amount of 30, right, 30 HP. This value can still be balanced, okay? Because I haven't made equipment yet, I haven't made the effects of the classes, the evolution per level, the status are still very initial, very simple. So the healing will also kind of follow this pattern, both in the items and in the abilities. And since I haven't made the items themselves yet, just simply the aspect of using the items, the ability is kind of free here to be used. And you can see there's this little effect, right, where it is affecting. And this potion breaks in the area, creating that region, right? Just like it was with the potion. It will be in the next skill, which is also a buff, right? Which is the skill of the... He heals 3 there, right? Which is 10% of the HP since they have 30 HP. But mine is healing 1000, right? Because you can see how much I exaggerated his life to avoid problems. And that is totally counterpart to the next ability, okay, which is also a potion. But instead of causing regen, which is for healing, it will cause poison. So this is already a more offensive ability, right? For you to use on your enemies. Oh, one thing I hadn't mentioned is that at the moment the ability is used, which is at the break of the potion. It activates its effect on everyone there, okay? So you can have even a tripled effect, depending. If you, for example, use the bottle of potion on yourself, you'll have the effect when the bottle breaks and sometimes also when you pass through. Yeah, I think in triplicates, but actually it's duplicated, which is the same thing when you start the match on top of it, that you've done duplicated if you stay on top of it, and the poison is the same. You can simply throw it at the crowd to cause poison. But even if he misses and doesn't cause the poison, when the character's turn arrives, if he is still on top of that puddle of poison, the poison will try to act again. If he ends his turn there, it will try to act again until it really causes the poison, which is a perfect counterbalance to regen, right? Because the Regen heals 10% of your HP and the poison causes 10% of damage, and these things are they're pure damage, okay? It is not reduced by defenses, only by resistances, okay, which I haven't added yet, but it's a damage by. So the more HP you have, the more potential this damage will be, and also the healing from regen will be circumstantial, okay? And in addition to poison, there was also, yes, another ability I created here for the Alchemist class was the Molotov or the Incendiary Bomb or something like that, right? That is usually found in many games, which is when you throw that bottle and it causes and sets the place on fire. Essentially, I will add an effect to it that will be the effect of leave the enemies oily only at the moment it is broken. Okay, but I haven't done it yet because I haven't implemented elemental resistances and damage, which will essentially increase the fire damage, and it's something that will simply be here causing damage to whoever is on top. Okay, it causes damage when it breaks, it causes damage to whoever is on top, both at the start and the end. This is magical damage, alright? So if he's still poisoned, there is also the poison damage. You can even see at some moments when the enemies are on top of the door. If they are poisoned, they have regen, they are on top of the wrong place. And if he starts to take action and quickly ends the turn, like enemies usually do, you see a lot of numbers appearing afterwards, which are the numbers from the beginning and the end, from poison, from Molotov, from regen. So a lot of numbers start showing up with all the damage and things happening. I thought it was actually pretty cool, okay. At first I thought it might be a little annoying because you don't know exactly where that damage is coming from, but actually you do know, so you know where that damage is coming from. And I even did some experiments to wait a bit for the damage, wait for the little number effect to pass in order to cause the damage again, but this was lagging a lot. The gameplay, wasn't good, so I decided to keep it this way. It's really cool, it's quite interesting, you can see the results right there on the HP itself, so it's not something that gets in the way. And this also varies a lot because it can not only cause damage but also negative effects, if you have some status, something like that. You will gain 2 more attack while you have the turn tip, and this kind of thing, you know, will be very possible in this game. You will be able to add many effects, many things within the abilities, and for now I am really enjoying the visuals, the things, how it is done. There is also something that is done in these regions, okay? If you use it in water regions, for example, they don't work, both the Molotov and the other abilities, so it will only affect regions without water. You can use them in water regions. If you have part of the area outside the water, it will work there, but it won't work in the water region itself, okay? And the break effect will still work, so you can target the enemies in the water. So it's actually a more strategic thing, okay? You won't be able to keep the enemy on poison and Molotov at the same time, okay? And you won't be able to stack multiple portions nor several things with regen all at once to have all that healing at once. No, you won't be able to do that because it will kind of replace it, okay? One replaces the other. It's more a matter of balance. The functioning is quite strong. I will need to tone it down a bit, right? Let's say so. But I think it's really cool, really nice, especially because the status effects will only try to cost status several times there, right? It won't essentially have a boost for that area there, different from damage and healing. But I think it's quite balanced, quite nice, especially because enemies can also use the area. Just like you can step on an area of damage, healing, or poison, and end up getting messed up by your own ability. And that's the Alchemist class, guys. I hope you liked it. Leave your comments. So let us somehow attach that. Let us know what you think of the class, okay? Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and make sure to leave a like, because this helps a lot in reaching the game to many people, to have a wider reach, right? Because the intention of making these videos is actually not exactly to grow the channel, but if growing the channel helps, that's great. But the intention is more for the idea of the game to reach so more people can notice this game, so they can put it on their wish list. If you haven't added it yet, add it to your wish list now. I'll leave the link in the description because it helps a lot. And the game marketing, especially game marketing, here in Brazil, for those who don't have much money to invest in this part, it's a bit complicated. So I'm trying to do this to reach more people. So whoever can share with people you know will enjoy it. So that helps a lot. And I have one more class to show, okay, which is already ready, already done, but I'll save it for another video, okay? I'm having this idea of dividing it into a few videos here, doing a lot at once and splitting some videos to have greater consistency here and see if YouTube reaches more people here and more people discover the game, right? So it's more just to have that idea. But it didn't take long for me to come back with a new class. Okay, there's already a spoiler of what it is like, how it will be. And that's more or less an idea of what it is. So that's it, goodbye.